TJ Walker.
Okay, please place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I,
I,
TJ Walker,
TJ Walker,
swear to tell the truth,
swear to tell you the
the
truth,
whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You can see them.
Sorry, the chair scared me.
State your name for the record.
TJ Walker,
How old are you?
13 years old.
What school do you go to?
I go to James E. Carter High,
Where do you live?
4952 Oak Tree Lane, Shepherdsville, New Columbia.
Now, TJ, who do you live with?
My mother, Tommy Brewster.
Do you see her often?
No, not really.
And why don't you see your mother very often?
She works a lot.
Your Honor, may I enter evidence?
You may.
Sorry.
Sometimes I feel as if I have run up alone. They say I'm supposed to be responsible for myself because they can't be around to do everything for me.
Can I ask where that piece of evidence is coming from? What is she reading?
Her affidavit.
Her affidavit. Okay, thank you.
TJ, are your parents together?
No,
Why aren't your parents together?
I don't know. Just didn't get along.
What's your father's name?
Scott Walker,
How much do you see your dad?
like once or twice a year.
Why wasn't your father around?
He was serving his country.
Now, did your father make time for you when he came home?
Yeah, of course he did. He'd take me to go get pizza and watch a movie, and sometimes we went to the shooting range.
Would you say you formed a relationship with your father?
Yeah, we both had an interest in guns, and he'd take me to the shooting range sometimes, but I was only allowed to watch.
Regarding firearms, would you say your father acknowledges and enforces gun safety?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Repeat the question?
Would you say, regarding firearms, would you say your father acknowledges and enforces gun safety?
Sustained.
Would you? Is your dad safe with guns?
Yeah,
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Sustained.
Okay. To bond with you, did Scott Walker try to engage with you at all?
Objection, Your Honor, leading. Engage in what way?
Like forming a relationship.
Okay, that's not, yeah, overruled.
ask the question again.
All right, sorry. Did your father try to bond with you by engaging with you?
Yeah, we did things together. Yes, we went to the shooting range, and he tried to get me a BB gun, but I was not able to get one. But with that BB gun came a huge list of rules.
Okay. Did you use that BB gun at all?
No.
Why didn't you use the BB gun?
When my mother found out, she got very aggravated about it because she hates guns and wants absolutely nothing to do with them. So she would not allow my father to get me one.
May I enter evidence? Yeah.
Even though my mom isn't around much, sometimes she gets all worked up over things that happen to me.
May I enter another piece of evidence?
You may.
They say I'm supposed to be responsible for myself because they can't be around to do everything for me. But then they try to put restrictions on me, including who I can hang out with and how late I am allowed to stay out.
Why did she care who you hang out with?
Objection, Your Honor, vague.
No, I'm gonna allow that.
She saw my friends as bad influences.
Can I enter another piece of evidence?
Last year there was a fight and we all got hauled off to the police station. It was a fight for pride. Someone had insulted one of my friends and we had to show them that they couldn't diss us. I knew guns were going to be involved. Someone always has a gun. People respect you when you carry a gun. You're nothing in their eyes if you don't carry. But I wasn't the one carrying the gun.
Did your mother do anything about this?
Yeah, she put me in a diversion program.
Do you still go to this diversion program?
Yes, I do. I go every weekend and go once a month with my mother and meet my counselor,
Who is your counselor?
Terry Botner.
Are your sessions with Terry Botner effective?
No, I don't even want to be there half the time because he's weirds me out a little bit. He really hates my dad and I don't know why.
May I enter another piece of evidence?
You may.
He always talks about how my dad doesn't do anything for me and how it's his fault that I get into trouble. Terry doesn't know my dad or anything about him, so I don't see how he can have his opinion on him.
Does your dad attend these sessions with you and your mom?
Oh God, no, they probably just argue the whole time.
Are you honest when you talk to Terry Botner?
Well, scary stuff happens at my school a lot. Like I said, one of my sessions with Terry Botner and my mom, classmates of mine will sneak guns into school and stuff like that I tell the truth about.
How did your mother feel when she heard about this?
She was not very happy, of course. Like I said, she hates guns. And she had gotten into an argument with my stepfather, Carl, about having one in our home.
Did your mother know that you knew about Carl's gun?
Yes, because I had asked her about it because I want to know more about it.
Did she explain the dangers of the gun?
No, when I asked her about it, she got mad and just walked away.
May I enter another piece of
You may.
She just got really angry and wouldn't talk about it. A couple of weeks later, I was down in the basement with Carl in his workshop. He asked me to get him a screwdriver from his toolbox. That's when I found his gun.
What did you do when you found the gun?
I brought it to school.
Why did you bring it to school?
You never know when you're going to need a gun in this neighborhood.
May I enter evidence?
You may.
Someone caught me when I took the gun to school. I decided to take it again one weekend when I was visiting my dad. I was going out with my friends that night.
Did your dad know that you brought the gun into his house?
No, I didn't tell anybody.
Why did you feel the need to take the gun with you?
Honestly, like I said, you never know when you're going to need a gun on you.
May I enter another piece of evidence?
Sometime that afternoon, my dad said he was going out for a while and that I was in charge.
What were you doing just before you left?
I was playing checkers with my little brother Jesse while my dad was, but I wanted to watch the football game with my dad.
Did you believe you could look after your brother on your own? Yes or no?
Yes.
What did you do after your dad left?
I showed Jesse the gun because I thought he would be impressed by it.
All right. What kind of gun was it?
It was a Breda 9mm.
Did Jesse get a hold of the gun?
After I had showed it to him, he did grab a hold of it and we did wrestle for it and that's when it went off.
Did you try to help Jesse?
Of course I did. I called 911 and then I had ran to get my dad.
Did your father attend the scene?
Yes, he had helped my little brother and then after he talked to the police, he came and talked to me.
May I enter evidence?
You may.
He asked me where I got the gun. I told him I got it at Mom's house and that it was Carl's. He said, "You're old enough to know better. Nobody can watch you 24 hours a day." I was upset already that after he said that, I started crying. I guess my dad felt bad because then he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "It's all right, TJ. You didn't mean it. It's just as much my fault as it is yours." And that made me feel a lot better.
Did you feel any anger towards Jesse?
No, I felt really, really bad that he got paralyzed and I didn't mean for him to get hurt.
Do you regret stealing Carl's gun?
No, that thing is awesome, but I do regret taking it to my dad's house.
Do you plan on owning a gun in the future?
Yeah, I was gonna get my hands on one either way. I was gonna buy one from a kid at school.
No further questions here.
I Secretary of State and filling in for Alex. Can you please state your name for the record?
TJ Walker,
How old are you, TJ?
13 years old.
And which parent do you live with?
I live with my mother, Tanya.
And have you really grown up around your father?
Not when I was younger, but I really wanted to build a relationship with him.
I'd like to enter two pieces of evidence. The
Is
first
this
one,
new evidence or resubmitting old evidence?
I believe this is new evidence. The first one's on page 13, the second one, or they're both on page 13. Lines 3 and 7.
My father, Scott Walker, left my mom and me when I was 3. I was really raised by my mom.
Which one of your parents would you say is the better parent?
I would say that my mom was definitely there for me and provided for me, which I'm thankful for in a lot of ways, but I definitely would have wished that my father was part of my life more, even though my mother never gave him the chance to be.
I would like to submit another new piece of evidence. It's on page 14, line 34.
Between my mom and my dad, though, my mom is by far the better parent.
Now, TJ, could you please elaborate why you believe your mom is the better parent?
Because I do believe that she worked very hard and did well raising me, but she did worry about me too much for telling me I should be on my own. She told me I should be on my own and that I should be able to take care of myself, but she also had restrictions towards me.
Okay. And TJ, do you enjoy spending time with your father?
Yeah.
And when you were growing up, did your father give you much attention?
I understand now.
Objection, Your Honor, narrating.
You're objecting to your.
To the response of the witness.
Can you ask the question again?
Yeah. When you were growing up, did your father give you much attention? And if you could answer me, yes.
Not really, because he was busy.
And then I would like to enter two more pieces of evidence. The first on page 13, second on page 14. So, here. So, page 12 is 5.
I don't remember seeing much of my dad while I was growing up.
And then the other one is just this first sentence.
My dad never wanted to spend time with me when I was growing up.
When you spent time with your father, did you feel a sense of belonging?
Objection, irrelevant.
No, I'll overrule that, I'll allow that.
Objection, Your Honor.
What was that?
Objection vague.
Repeat the question?
When you spent time with your father and his family, did you feel a sense of belonging?
No, I overrule that, overrule. I'll allow the line of questioning to continue.
Would you like me to restate it?
Yeah.
When you spent time with your father and his family, did you feel a sense of belonging?
Like I said, I didn't like hanging out with him and his family, but I liked hanging out with him when it was just me and him.
I'd like to enter, if I could have another piece of evidence on page 13. So it's going to be lines 10 through 13 and just right here, spend time with you too as well. Or actually, start at line number 9.
I never felt like I really belonged with his new family. Every once in a while, my dad and I went out alone. I liked that better than being with his whole family.
So TJ, is it true that you only got to spend one-on-one time with your father every once in a while?
Yes.
And in the few occasions where just you and your dad were able to spend time together, what were the activities that you did?
We went out to get pizza, watched a movie sometimes, and he would take me to the shooting range, and I could only watch when I was there.
Okay. And then I would like to enter another piece of evidence. Right here. Just this sentence. This sentence right here, starting at A.
A few times I went to the shooting range near his house, and I watched people shoot their guns.
Did your father ever use a gun at the shooting range?
Yeah, I asked him if I could watch him shoot a gun, and he had asked an old Marine.
What did you think when you saw your father shoot a gun?
I thought it was awesome because I knew that was something that we could bond over.
And when you were in 6th grade, your father promised to buy you a BB gun for your birthday, correct?
Correct.
When your mom found out about the BB gun, what did she do?
She got very angry about it because she, as I said, she hates guns and wants nothing to do with them. But my father did have a list of rules and was going to teach me how to use it safely.
And then, can I submit another piece of evidence? On page 14, line 20.
Bless.
Line 20.
When my mom found out about it and got mad, my dad gave in.
TJ, you got into a fight last year, correct?
Yes.
And guns were involved, correct?
Yeah.
Because you are 13 and you're constantly around your peers, why do people your age want to carry guns?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Why do people your age want to carry guns?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Is there a sense of pride associated with carrying a gun?
Objection vague.
Sustained.
Have you ever taken a gun out of your home?
My mom's home? Yes.
I'd like to submit another piece of evidence, please. Page 16, line 72 to 74.
Listen to you. I know Carl said it was off limits, but I couldn't help borrowing it. One day I took it to school and my friends were real impressed.
So is it safe to say the day that you were taking the gun to school, you were also looking for respect?
You're always looking for respect when you're young.
So going back to the fight last year, is it true that you ended up in the police station?
Yes, but I did not get in trouble and my mother put me into a diversion program even though the police officer said I didn't need it.
And were you told that you had legal consequences?
Repeat, sorry.
Were you told that you had legal consequences?
I was not told that I had any legal consequences, actually.
So what happened after your mom came in and spoke with the police officer?
I got put into a diversion program that I didn't want to be in.
And I would like to submit another piece of evidence, please. Page 15, lines 52 through 54.
When my mom heard about this diversion thing, her eyes lit up. She said she thought it was the best thing for me. The officer said that I really didn't need it, but my mom insisted that he sign me up for the program.
Okay. Do you think this diversion program is a preventative measure against the violence in your school and neighborhood?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes. Do you think the diversion program is a preventative measure against the violence in your school and neighborhood?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
I thought you could leave the witness in custody.
You can ask what her opinion is, but you can't ask her you can ask her what she thinks it would help with.
Okay. So what do you think the diversion program would help you with?
Me personally, I didn't want to be there. I don't think it was very helpful because I didn't like my counselor. My counselor didn't like my dad, even though he didn't know my dad. And it was aggravating because I wanted to get to know my dad as a person.
So regardless of the fact that Carl possessed a gun in your house, were you planning on purchasing a gun yourself ever?
Yeah, I already said that. I was going to get one at school.
Okay, and I'd like to submit evidence, page 18, lines 105.
I would have gotten a gun eventually, even if Carl didn't have one. I was planning to buy one from a guy at school. The fact that Carl had one in the basement just saved me money.
So the fact that Carl had a gun in your house didn't actually change the fact that eventually you would end up with a gun, correct?
Yeah, and Tanya Bruce, my mother, Tanya, knew that.
Objection, Your Honor, assumes unestablished facts.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Disregard that.
So on the day that Jesse was shot, what did you bring to Scott's house?
I had the gun with me.
And on that day, were you hoping to watch football and talk to your dad?
Yep.
What did you end up doing instead?
I was playing checkers with my little brother.
I would like to enter more evidence, please. It goes from page 16 to 17. So end of this page and then we'll find the color.
That day, we were all sitting around watching football at my dad's house. Jesse wanted to play checkers. I wanted to watch football and talk to my dad, but I played checkers with Jesse just to shut him up. Sometime that afternoon, my dad said he was going out for a while and that I was in charge.
When your father left, did he tell you how long he'd be gone?
Objection hearsay.
No, I'll allow that.
Repeat the question.
When your father left, did he tell you about how long he'd be gone?
No, he just told me that he had to return to drill.
And did he tell you exactly where he was going?
He said that he was going down the street to return a drill to one of his friends.
So did you know the exact address of where he would be?
No, but I had been to the house once before.
Were there any other adults in the home with you?
No, but felt as if I was capable of watching my younger sister.
So your father placed his children, 5-year-old Jesse and 2-year-old Kim, under your supervision, correct?
Yes.
And have you ever supervised children by yourself before?
No, but I felt as if I grew up by myself.
And then did your father leave a phone number or any way to contact him before you left? Please answer the yes or no.
No.
In your father's absence, what did you decide to show to Jesse?
I showed him the gun.
And why did you decide to do this?
I thought it would impress him, and it definitely went the wrong way, and that was my fault.
Did Jesse attempt to take the gun from you?
Yes, he got a hold of it, and I tried to get it away from him.
Okay. And then after Jesse was shot, how did you feel?
I was very upset and scared.
Okay. If your father happened to be home, would you have taken the gun out to show to Jesse?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
When your father returned from his friend's house, what did he tell you?
He had told me that I should have known better, but it was also partly his fault to make me feel better.
I would like to enter evidence. I believe it's already been entered though, from page 17, lines 98 to 101.
He said, "You're old enough to know better. Nobody can watch you 24 hours a day." I was upset already that after he said this, I started crying. I guess my dad felt bad because then he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "It's all right, TJ, you didn't mean it. It's just as much my fault as it is yours." That made me feel better.
No further questions.
Would your prosecution like to redirect?
What?
No, okay. Are you done with this witness?
I,
Okay. TJ, you can ask.
oh, yeah. Oh, Your Honor, I'd like to call Scott Walker to the stand.
Say your name.
Scott Walker.
Okay, place your left hand on the Bible, and raise your right hand. Now repeat after me. I,
I,
Scott Walker,
Scott Walker,
swear to tell the truth,
swear to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
Help me God.
You may be seated.
Identify yourself for the court.
My name is Scott Walker.
State your occupation.
I am a foreman for Bronson Construction Incorporated. I've been working there for 7 years.
When did you meet Tanya Brewster?
We met in our sophomore year of high school.
When did you have TJ?
We had TJ after our senior year.
When was TJ born?
She was born on November 3rd of 1980.
When did you and Tanya get married?
We got married directly after high school, and if it wasn't for TJ, we wouldn't have gotten married.
How were you and Tanya able to manage a child while being so young?
For the first 2 years, Tanya had stayed home and took care of TJ while I went into construction. And then after that 2 years, Tanya had gotten a job at a temporary employment agency as a receptionist.
How did the birth of TJ affect your marriage?
We started fighting a lot about money, the house, and TJ. To our divorce on May 17th of,
What did you guys agree to when you got divorced?
I would have visitation rights with TJ every other weekend, 6 weeks in the summer, and I would have to pay child support. However, Tanya would have full custody of TJ, which made it hard for me to see her.
What was your life like after the divorce?
It kind of fell apart. I had lost my job with the construction, so I decided to join the military in the Army, and it was one of the best decisions I've made in my entire life.
What did you do in the Army?
I joined the Army Corps of Engineers, so I was responsible for building dams, roads, and bridges. However, I never went overseas and saw any combat, and being in the Army made it hard to see TJ.
How often did you see TJ when you were in the Army?
When I was in, I only saw her once, and then once I got out, it was about once a month due to the visitation rights.
Why did you want to get closer to TJ once you got back?
Because she's my daughter and I love her, and I want to get closer than I have been, be a better father than I have been to her, especially now that I have 2 new kids. It's kind of given me a bigger sense of maturity.
Your Honor, I'd like to submit evidence to the court. Please read.
I know I've missed some weekends and a birthday or two, but I was busy, and every time I tried to get involved, I felt that Tanya put hurdles in my way.
Thank you. What hurdles did Tanya put in your way?
One time for TJ's 11th birthday, I had bought her a BB gun with the intention of teaching her how to properly handle a gun safely.
Did you tell TJ about your knowledge you have about guns from being in the Army?
Yes, I did. I told her about the rifle range, infantry training, and some stories that the old Vietnam veterans would tell us about.
What were your feelings towards guns?
Me personally, I was never really interested in them. However, TJ liked them. It was something that we bonded over.
When you got TJ the BB gun, did you have rules for it?
I did, yes. It was clearly stated to TJ that the gun would never leave my house. It would be locked in a secure place whenever it was not in use. And it would not be used unless I was there.
Did Tanya have an issue with this?
She did, yes.
What was the issue Tanya had?
She told me that she would not allow TJ to own a gun in any capacity, even though I would be the one owning the BB gun.
How did you respond to Tanya?
I told Tanya that it's none of her business what I do with my own child in my own house, but she just wouldn't let go.
What ended up happening with the BB gun?
I ended up having to return it, unfortunately.
Why was it unfortunate that you had to return the gun?
Because if I didn't, I would have been able to show my daughter Jessie, I would have been able to show my daughter TJ how to properly handle a gun and what you can and cannot do with one. And now we're seeing the consequences of what unsafe and negligent handling of a firearm can do and why you should teach your children about it.
What are the consequences you were speaking of?
My son Jesse getting shot as a result of the bullet hitting him in his spinal cord from Tanya's negligence of the firearm that was in her house.
When was Jesse shot?
Jesse was shot on December 4th of 1993.
Where did the shooting occur?
It occurred at my house.
Were you home when the shooting occurred?
I was not. I was down the street at my neighbor Lewis's house returning his drill.
How long were you gone for?
Originally, I planned to be gone for about 15 to 20 minutes. However, when I got there, the game was close and I was offered a beer. So I decided to stay for a little.
Do you trust TJ to watch the kids?
Yes, I do.
Can you elaborate on that?
She's 13. She should be more than old enough to watch the kids by herself.
Were you expecting her to be able to possess a firearm?
No, I was not.
Your Honor, I'd like to submit evidence about the safe storage of a gun. I'm sure, I think it's already been stated. Can you read from potential to results?
Potential?
Mhm.
At the very beginning.
Okay.
Results.
Yeah, the end of the highlight part.
Okay, gotcha. Potential handgun owners should be aware that there is a law in New Columbia that imposes criminal liability when a child 16 years of age or younger obtains a firearm that has not been safely stored and a serious injury results.
Thank you. Did Tanya communicate at all that there was a gun in her house?
No, she did not. I didn't find out about the gun until the day of the shooting.
How did it make you feel that Tanya allowed a gun to be kept in her house but wouldn't allow you to get TJ a BB gun?
I felt like I was kind of set up for failure in my supervision, knowing that Tanya would allow me to get TJ a BB gun, which would have been able to teach her how to properly handle a firearm, what you can and cannot do with it again. However, she allows a gun to be left in her house, which TJ is obviously capable of carrying, makes me feel like I was set up for
Objection,
the
Your Honor,
failure.
narration.
Sustained.
If you were aware of the gun, would you have left TJ and the kids alone?
No, I would not.
What condition is Jesse in now following the incident?
He's permanently paralyzed from the waist down as a result of Tanya's negligence of the firearm that was left in her home.
What are you looking for in terms of compensation?
All I'm looking for is compensation for his injuries.
Your Honor, I'd like to submit new evidence.
So from this part, so the Sheehan to
She even got that counselor Botner to start bothering me. Botner called me twice, and I told him quite clearly not to tell me how to raise my child.
Who is Botner?
Terry Botner is TJ's divergency course counselor.
Who signed up TJ for this program?
Tanya did.
Did you ever attend the counseling sessions?
I did not. I didn't feel like it would be beneficial to TJ's growth in the program
Why did you feel like it wouldn't be beneficial?
because I felt like it would just be me and Tanya fighting the whole time.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
What do you do for work, Mr. Walker?
I'm a construction foreman for Bronson Construction Incorporated.
When did you get married to Tanya Brewster?
We got married directly after high school.
Now, when again was your daughter, TJ Walker, born?
Asked and answered.
Where are you going with this?
The relationship and custody agreements.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. When was your daughter, TJ Walker, born?
TJ was born on November 3rd of 1980.
Now, when did your relationship with Tanya seem to go bad?
About the time that she got the job with the temporary employment agency.
What were the causes of the fighting that put a strain on your relationship?
Tanya wanted me to be more involved with TJ, but I had work.
You and Ms. Brewster then got divorced, is that correct?
Correct, yes, on May 17th of 84.
I'd like to enter the following as evidence from page 7, lines 15 through 18, marked with a 1.
I did not feel ready to raise a kid, so I agreed to let Tanya have custody. We agreed that I would have visitation rights every other weekend and 6 weeks during the summer. I was also required to pay child support.
Why didn't you take any more custody over TJ?
because I didn't feel like I was mature enough to raise a child.
I'd like to enter the following as evidence from page 7, lines 19 through 20.
I think they're 20, you said? Right here? Okay, so it's right here.
Yes.
And where? Child? Okay. After the divorce, things really fell apart. I got fired from from my job for being late too many times. My parents yelled at me constantly for abandoning my child.
Thank you. Would you be able to say you've grown in your maturity since then?
I can say yes, I have.
Now, after you and Tanya were divorced, you were remarried, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
You've also had 2 children since then?
Correct.
When were these children born?
Objection irrelevant.
It has to do with the circumstances of a 13-year-old watching the other children.
Overruled.
Kim was born on May 28th of 1990. And Jesse was born November 4th of 88.
So at this point, you have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 13-year-old.
Correct.
But TJ wasn't as close with you and your other children and wife, is that correct?
Yes, because Tanya had full custody.
I'd like to enter evidence from page 8 of Scott's affidavit, from line 35 and on to line 37.
Any of that? Okay. I wanted to get closer to TJ too, but I did not know how to change my patterns, change the patterns Tanya, TJ, and I had established. Keep reading.
Yes.
Okay. I had especially given up control of TJ to Tanya since she was the person actually raising her. TJ did not want me to be around. It's like TJ forgot that I was her father.
Sorry, I'd like to enter evidence and continue on to page 9.
See.
Could you include that if that's on the first sentence, the next page?
First sentence on my page?
Yeah.
The only thing TJ seemed to like about me is the fact that I had been in the Army. I tried to tell TJ that what I did in the Army was building things, but all she wanted to hear about was the guns and fighting.
Thank you. So TJ only felt interest in you when you discussed guns.
Correct.
Now I'd like to continue on page 9, lines 46 and 47.
46, 47. All right. The funny thing is that I was never interested in guns, even when I was in the Army. Our gun hobby was just something I thought I could use to get TJ to like me.
So you felt it was appropriate to bond with your child over the use of these dangerous weapons.
Not over the use of them per se. I mean, you could say it like that, sure.
Don't you think that this could open the possibility for a child to become involved with the use of guns, especially considering the town and environment your daughter was living in?
Just speculation.
Sustained.
I'd like to enter evidence from page 9, lines 42. Yes. 155. Yeah.
Yes. When we talked about guns, it seemed more like TJ was proud of me.
Okay, thank you. Now, it's already established that TJ felt a sense of pride among her and her peers after owning a weapon. Yes or no, could you say that you contributed to this sense of pride that TJ felt in the use of guns?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
It was established in TJ's statement.
Objection, Your Honor. That
Alright.
statement that he is referring to was objected earlier.
Okay. Now, 2 years ago, leading off of this shared gun hobby, you purchased a BB gun for TJ, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, what was the age recommendation on this device?
Actually, no. I was gonna say relevant. But yeah.
I believe the box said 12 years and up.
That is not correct. Oh, yes, sorry, that is correct. Now, how
Tell me
old was
what?
TJ at the time of your gifting?
She was 11, turning 11.
So you attempted to willfully disobey age recommendations for a tool that mirrors a dangerous device in an attempt to bond with your child over such devices.
I want to say it's dangerous due to the rules that were going to be set in place for it.
Now, among these rules and all the evidence that has been stated, has anywhere been said that you wanted to bring up gun safety?
Yes, several times in my examination, I stated that I wanted to teach TJ how to properly handle a gun safely.
I'd like to enter evidence from page 9 on lines 51 and 52. Yes.
The gun was to be kept at my house. It was not to be used unless I was there.
Now, these were the ground rules that were set. Nowhere else in your affidavit does it say anything about gun safety or gun handling. Yet you still make these claims for teaching TJ gun safety regarding this object.
Objection, argumentative.
Reword the question.
So far with the set gun rules, with the set ground rules regarding this device we were attempting to give TJ, gun safety was not a topic stated anywhere in your affidavit. Yet you still continue to bring this up now in court.
Objection, Your Honor, leading the witness.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're going with it. Are you looking for him to answer the question or?
I can move on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then you conform to Tanya's request and return to the BB gun.
Correct, yes.
I'd like to enter the evidence from page 9 on lines 54 to 55.
Any other?
Yes.
I tried to argue that what I did with my own child in my own house was my own business, but she would have none of that.
So you take full guardianship of your child when she is in your home during your allotted hours of visitation?
Yes,
I'd like to continue entering evidence on page 9, lines 55 through 57.
And now the line?
Yeah.
All right, starting at the line and
Yes.
she started telling me how kids as young as TJ were getting arrested with handguns in her neighborhood. According to Tanya, guns, drugs, and gangs were all tied up together, and she did not want to encourage the use of guns in any way.
So Tanya made it very clear to you her stance on TJ around guns.
Yes, she did.
Now, I'd like to enter evidence on page 9, lines 59 through 61.
When TJ did not get the gun, she was very mad. TJ told me that I was afraid of her mother and said, if you won't buy me a gun, I'll get one on my own. I wasn't worried about this. TJ was just an 11-year-old kid blowing off steam.
Okay, thank you. You then saw TJ carrying around a gun magazine, is that correct?
Correct, yes. I found it in fall.
And did you inquire any further on TJ's attempts to procure her own weapon?
No, again, as stated in my affidavit, I believe it was just an 11-year-old blowing off steam.
So you didn't push any further, take any precautionary action or discipline after your child stated that she would get her own gun and then asked about attempting to, did you limit TJ's access to this gun magazine in any way?
I cannot recall if I did or not.
You didn't see TJ's statement about getting her own gun worrying in any way to lead you to take any precautionary action?
No, as I said, it was just an 11-year-old blowing off steam.
On December 4th, 1993, what were you and your family doing prior to the shooting?
Can you?
Objection irrelevant?
That's very relevant.
I'm sorry. Could you say the question again?
On December 4th, 1993, what were you and your family doing prior to the shooting?
Me and Kim were on the couch. I was watching the football game. Jesse and TJ were on the floor playing checkers.
Where did you go when it was halftime of the football game that you were watching?
I remember that I had borrowed my neighbor's drill and went to go return it to him.
So who was watching the kids at this time?
At the
At the
time
time
before I
of you
left.
leaving. At the time of you leaving.
TJ.
Even after your wife asked you to watch them?
Yes.
I'd like to enter the following as evidence from page 10, from lines 72 to 74. Those are two.
I wasn't worried about the kids. TJ was 13 years old and should have been responsible enough to look after younger children. She had never watched the kids alone before, but I trusted her.
So you were aware, so you left your friend, you left to go to your friend Lewis's house and stayed for a beer?
Correct, yes.
Okay. You then decided to leave your 13-year-old child, who you're aware has an intense love of guns, learning about them, their use, aware of her criminal history, and her arrest after a fight involving a gun, and leave her alone with your 5-year-old and 2-year-old
Objection,
children.
he wasn't aware of the TJ being able to possess a gun.
Sustained.
Possess a gun?
The question didn't state possess a gun.
I didn't
it was
state
just,
possess a gun. A
saying-
fight involving a gun, and it's already been stated.
Yeah,
that
but
TJ wasn't
if he
fighting
knew that
involving a
TJ
gun.
was able to possess a gun, he wouldn't have left.
But that's
Well,
He
not
was-
asking the question.
I can restate the question. So you decided to leave your 13-year-old child, who you are aware has an intense love of guns, learning about them and their use. You are aware of her criminal history, her being arrested after a fight involving a gun, and leave her alone with your 5-year-old and 2-year-old children.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Yes, I did. Again, I didn't expect her to be able
No.
to cause any harm to them.
Okay. Now, you also knew that she had never watched children before, and you decided that today was the day to start that?
Yes, TJ's 13 and more than responsible enough to take care of kids for a little bit.
But no warning signs were set off to you, given that you were aware that even if you wouldn't buy TJ a gun, she would get one on her own.
As I previously stated, I thought that her saying that was an 11-year-old blowing off steam. I never expected her to be able to possess a gun.
How long did you plan to be absent from your 3 children at home?
Originally, I planned to be gone for about 15 to 20 minutes.
So you left at halftime. At what point in the game did you end up deciding to leave at?
There's about 5 minutes left of the game.
After leaving at halftime?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sorry, you left at.
I left at
Yes.
halftime to go return my neighbor Lewis's drill, and then are you asking me when I came back?
What time you did? Yes, what time you were planning on coming back?
Again, 15 to 20 minutes was the original plan.
At what point? You just stated okay. You stated 5 minutes before the end
Objection, Your Honor.
and
That's
15
when
to
I-
20 minutes.
That's
I think
when
we're
I.
trying to establish this timeline. I'm going to allow it to continue, but get to the point.
Okay. So you changed your mind on how long you were going to stay.
Yeah,
Did you inform TJ of this change in your time of absence,
I did not know.
even though you put her in charge?
Correct.
Do you even tell TJ how long you were planning to be absent?
I can't recall.
Did you tell TJ where you were going?
I can't recall.
Wait, objection. Obviously, TJ knew where he was going because she came to the house.
Objection, Your Honor. In the phone call, it states that she had no idea where her father was. She was only able to get to the house because she remembered what it looked like from being there once before.
Violates best evidence.
How would she have gotten there?
Okay. Did you tell
Yeah, it's
TJ?
also under distress.
Did you tell TJ the address of where you were?
No, I did not.
Don't you think that telling TJ where you would be going would be a necessary precaution when leaving an inexperienced teen with your children?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
I'd like to enter the following as evidence on page 10, lines 75 to 83.
Let me see. 75?
Yeah.
After I finished the beer, there was only 5 minutes left in the game. With the score tied, I decided to stay until the end. Around that time, there was a loud banging on the door. Lewis got up to answer it, and TJ ran in. TJ was covered in blood and crying. She told me that Jesse had got shot, and I tried to ask TJ what happened, but she ran out of Lewis's house and down the street to my house. We all followed TJ into the basement. Jesse was lying on the floor, and there was blood everywhere. He was unconscious but breathing. Lewis used to be a paramedic, so he took over. I asked TJ what happened. TJ said she was showing Jesse a gun, and Jesse had tried to grab it. When TJ tried to take it back from Jesse, the gun went off, hitting Jesse.
So the shooting occurred while you were away from home, at a friend's house having a beer, after leaving TJ alone with Jesse, with no way for TJ to contact you or be sure of the address of your location in case of an emergency.
It could be said like that, yes.
So yes. I'd like to enter the following as evidence from the recorded best evidence on page 38. Okay. Please read, including operator and caller.
All the way down to the green, or like all this?
All of it, yes.
All of that? Geez. Operator, is there anyone else at home, TJ? Anyone older? Caller. Kim is here, but she's just a baby. Operator, are there any adults there, TJ? Caller. My dad's down the street at Lewis's house. Operator. How far away is Lewis's house, TJ? Caller. I'm not sure. I've only been there once. It's like one or two blocks. Operator. You're not sure what house? Caller. No.
Continue on to page 40. Continue reading. Operator, caller.
So all this from
Yes.
operator. Okay. Operator. Okay, TJ. I I just want you to stay and do this until the ambulance comes. Now you and I will just talk until the ambulance arrives. When is your father coming back, TJ? Caller, I don't know. He didn't tell me. Operator, how long has he been gone for, TJ? Caller, I don't know. A long time, all afternoon. Why are you asking me all these questions?
Thank you. So TJ didn't know how long you were gone.
He did not know.
And she didn't know the address or the exact location of where you were.
Correct.
Okay. Do you think that these decisions were responsible?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
I'd like to enter the following as evidence on page 11 on line 99. Continue on to page to line 101 until 103 for me.
101 to 103.
90 start at 99 and
Start at
continue on to
99?
101 to 103.
So just jump down. Don't read
Yes.
all this. Probably. I don't blame TJ for what happened. I blame Tanya. She has always told me that she is worried about TJ getting involved with gangs and guns, especially after TJ was arrested last year.
So you place all the blame on Tanya for this incident.
Not all of it. no.
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
Now, in the evidence, a communication is between you and Mr. Terry Bodnick. Could you read the highlighted section marked with a 13 in the back of the evidence section?
All this?
Yes.
Dear Mr. Walker, I am writing to follow up on our two brief telephone conversations. As you may recall, I am TJ's emergency program counselor. After meeting with TJ several times and with TJ and his mother twice, becoming involved in violent activities. In our sessions, TJ has displayed a fascination with guns and weapons. Based on my professional experience, these types of interests in young people like TJ often are warning signs that a child could easily become a victim or perpetrator of violence.
So you were aware of TJ's and Tanya's participation in the diversion program?
Yes, I was.
And you were also aware of Terry's warning regarding violence being a possibility with TJ?
Correct.
And you continue to decide not to attend the diversion program?
Yes, as previously stated, I didn't feel like it would be beneficial.
Now, would you consider Tanya's actions of the diversion program and updates to you about her worries and goals for TJ and her precautions on the use of a BB gun as precautionary action?
Objection, multiple.
Sustained.
Would you consider Tanya's actions of the diversion program as precautionary action?
I believe you could see it as that, yes.
I'd like to enter evidence on lines 113 through 114.
Since the shooting accident, I've realized that I should have been more involved in what's going on in TJ's life and how Tanya was raising her.
You still continue to claim this after refusing to participate in TJ's divergent program developed to prevent her from engaging in dangerous actions?
Correct, because as stated, it would be beneficial to her growth in the program if I had showed up to the counseling sessions.
Now, Jesse, your 5-year-old son has never provided any monetary income to you. Is that correct?
Objection irrelevant.
That is relevant, I'll allow it.
I'd like to submit the following as evidence from the applicable law from Larson v. Miller, 158, New Columbia, 488.
Your Honor, our witness wasn't able to answer the question after being sustained.
Sorry.
You never allowed him to answer the question.
Oh,
Could you read?
yes, yes. You still claim that regarding the evidence of sorry, was the evidence that you're referring to, I mean, the question that you're referring to, is it monetary value regarding Jesse? Okay, sorry. Did you sustain the call or allow me to continue?
Yeah, no, allow you to continue.
Okay. Jesse, your 5-year-old son has never provided any monetary income to you. Is that correct?
Correct, he's 5.
I would like to submit evidence. Please read this highlighted section on to the next page.
Larson v. Miller, 158, New Columbia, 488, 1991. Until now, the state has not recognized claims by a parent for loss of a child, companionship, and service. But under the circumstances present here, where the injury was so severe to be permanently disabling, and the child was providing financial support to her parents and would have continued to do so throughout the parents' lifetime, we will recognize the claim and uphold the damage award.
Now, Your Honor, Scott Walker has already recognized that Jesse has not provided any financial support, and the language in the related cases states that to receive financial compensation, the incident has to be both permanently disabling of a child who is providing financial support to their parents. This is not the case here, so it is not applicable, and the defense asks that the request for $500,000 for loss of companionship not be recognized, and that financial request be expunged. Now, I'd like to continue and enter evidence from the estimated future expenses from the hospital.
Your Honor, I would just like to point out that this is a 5-year-old that is now paralyzed for life, and all he's looking for is compensation for his child.
Except at this.
Okay, hold up. Just give me a minute, please.
Okay.
Okay, point has been made on that.
I don't believe that necessarily needs to be that again. $1,000 to be good. Now, it has also already been established by Sandy Turner, an expert in her field, that her estimate totals to be approximately $650,000. I'm sorry, Scott, the hospital you received an estimated bill from amounted to a total of $975,000. Although it has already been established that Sandy Turner, an expert in her field on the side of the prosecution, estimates this total to be approximately $650,000. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Now, the defense that asks that this discrepancy in price estimate is to be acknowledged following payments for both parties, the sum to amount within 15% above the estimated by the expert Sandy Turner. Now, on Sandy Turner, this witness has already established that they are receiving payment from you, Scott Walker, the plaintiff. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, it's established that they're being paid their normal rate of $200 per hour.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'd like to enter from lines 110 to 111 in Scott Walker's affidavit. Section.
Topic.
Yeah.
I also did not pay child support some months when I was really strapped for cash.
Now, Your Honor, this father has failed to pay child support time and time again. Yet, once it becomes necessary to Scott, this payment manifests itself in the form of paying for an expert witness on the side of the prosecution. We ask this.
Objection, argumentative.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Would you like to redirect?
Oh, no, I'm not. What is that? What is it doing? What? I.
This means if you want to clarify anything.
Wait, yeah.
You already said no.
Okay, never mind.
Before we call the next witness, let's just take a 10-minute recess.
Oh, okay.
We'll never talk about redirection. Yeah, okay, on those objections. Bro, I need to stand up. Yeah, you guys stand up and say something. Oh, my God. We allowed to go outside.
Your Honor, is there a garbage can anywhere up there?
I can take it.
Did you come?
That's funny. That's funny.
I can do it.
Oh my God. You don't.
Shut up.
I've been doing this. I really have how it is. Yeah. I
noticed the time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. He did a really good job. I thought you did great.
I think Adrian did great. But it's just the difference in the experts. It's not, and there's no.
I just this thing
Like
we never talked.
eliminated the companionship.
I'm gonna bring it up to my court.
We asked for 70/30 because we did the math and 70%.
Covers-
If they got
covers all
70%, it was medical bills. Just medicals.
I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk
I did the
about
hospital. We did
The hospital.
the point that they just brought up for the point they just brought up for the deduction is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Excuse me,
The point is that Jessica, that they're bringing up this that it should be deducted because Jesse does not provide income to Scott. However, Jesse is fine. Obviously, he's not going to get Are you ready? I'm going.
I open it, it's gonna be more.
Don't throw this for a piece of peanut butter cake.
Yeah.
No, bro, I'll give you two.
So you weren't.
No, we weren't.
Okay.
Oh, is that what they were arguing? Is that
I mean, I'm
where-
crossing
Yeah,
the
we're
hall,
not,
so
we
I
don't even
cannot bring
want.
that up. There's no way that'll ever be relevant.
Make it clear that
Because we even said it, like 70% will cover just that. Also, what is the case on that you're providing?
I haven't paid attention to the case.
Yeah, yes, but where is that? It has to be like the one, yeah.
Who's you? Oh, Terry Bobby? What's up?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? I went up there, like, it totally couldn't get, like, crossed up.
They wanted the 97.
Well, that they said that we want to give him a chip,
Yeah.
we need to make it clear.
We don't. They're
And that's
saying,
what we need to argue.
they're saying we want this $500,000.
For convenience. Say like our 70%, oh yeah, something.
For the fact that every
I gotta email the church.
Until now, the state has not recognized claims.
How do, what's the Wi-Fi here? The gas Disney cord gas? Does anyone remember the password for the Wi-Fi?
Connor,
It's,
Gus, capital G. Sid, S-I-D, capital S. Court, capital C.
they,
Just now.
I will say though, I'm getting just for.
I was like, no way.
What's the order of, what's the order of their witnesses?
And you should
It's
be,
Naveen, Tanya, Carl, and then Muhammad.
you should be in our photography class, dude. It is
Oh,
loudest
how often
speaker
does
there.
Trin go down there?
She's not bad. Trin isn't bad, but she doesn't. She never stops talking. It's always something out of pocket. Just
I'm gonna take this.
Put in there.
We all have like, nice shoes on. We got Jordans. I mean, yeah, you have some too. I got you. Oh, okay. Try me.
yeah.
Or is that,
I
that's.
said we just,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to address that.
I don't think it's.
I didn't really, I don't think it's
Yeah,
good.
I don't think so.
Yo. No way.
And then bottom of the.
Wait, where's it being streamed?
So you.
Are you watching it in English class?
And then say, the case of that.
Yeah, Travis is watching. I gotta. Wait, how are you watching? No, you just got going. Oh, no way, that's awesome. It's too early to tell you. YouTube. Get off your phone, Ian. I don't know, Travis said to. Yo, Travis, I might miss help today, so I might need the answers to the rest of the video.
She's sick.
Just let Europe know that. What?
I had an RBF
Oh wait, so am I getting close to the camera?
We're winning, we're being mean.
I tried to say that.
That was a fair point, Trent.
But then you should say,
That's crazy.
What'd you say? I said,
Yeah, I did.
You want to play that game? I don't think I can see all of her tiny.
You did.
Oh, I know.
Where you get that?
Is there any water?
Yeah, he's speaking.
I think she's trying to get one.
Physical longevity.
He knows he was. I'm not talking about you. I know your name. I'm a shy.
Honestly, it's 11. It's 11:08 right now. I bet you won't get it. Because I don't think they're. Because our cross is. Thank you.
well, he had to disregard it, so probably they were asked. So
I don't even like. I don't even care if I
I'm
it's better to say something.
I'm That would be good to start looking at some honestly.
Yeah, I just, yeah.
Take care.
He better be.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, how do you think it went?
I never said those things I had to say. I think we should be quiet. I feel like that's the timeline. Just having a read.
No,
Yeah.
just like.
Some of the stuff was because there was
Wait, no, I won't.
is it like a really
So this is the style.
I think it's gotta be more like I think it's more than just
Specifically say what you want to say. If the question is framed in a way that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Is everybody back in the bathroom?
I might take a
Yeah. We can get started again.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call their first witness, Tony Brewster.
You say your name.
Tony Brewster.
Place your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I,
I,
Johnny Brewster,
Tony Brewster,
swear to tell the truth,
swear to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
nothing but the
and
truth,
nothing but the truth,
so help me God.
so help me God. Would you please state your name for the record? Tanya Brewster. And where do you currently reside? I live at 4952 Oak Tree Lane, Shepherdsville, New Columbia. And how would you describe the environment? When I first moved in, it was very nice and peaceful, but after a few years, out of my control, it went downhill from there. And who lives there? My 13-year-old daughter, TJ. How old were you when TJ was born? I was 18. How did you handle being a teenage mother? I had to step up to the occasion since Scott kind of left me empty-handed. And yeah. And what type of custody do you have over TJ? I have sole custody over my daughter. I would like to read something in. It's on page 24, paragraph 2. The divorce agreement required Scott to pay $250 a month in child support. He promised me that he would pay the child support and visit TJ regularly. But then he went off and joined the Army. He only saw TJ once while he was in the Army, and that was for about 3 hours one Christmas. Scott also had started to miss child support payments. Were you receiving any sort of support from TJ's father? I was only receiving the court-ordered payments from Scott while he was in the Army. Once he left the Army, the payments started to become more sporadic as time went on. Scott was also court-ordered.
Objection, narration.
Just add. Answer the question.
Can you please tell the court how you're supporting TJ as her mother?
Objection irrelevant.
What was that?
Can you please tell the court how you're supporting TJ as her mother? I believe it's relevant to her brain.
Can you just specify what you're talking about as far as support? Are you talking about financial support? Or
Support as in like financially and like having
okay,
TJ.
can you just reword the question to?
Can you please tell the court how you are financially raising your child?
I had to build a business from the ground up to keep the money incoming so that I am able to afford my child. Since I'm not being paid with child support, I have to figure out how to keep money incoming.
I would like to read in another piece. It's on page 23, paragraph 4. So,
But after TJ was born, Scott seemed to lose interest. He was hardly ever around the house, took very little interest in helping with TJ, and didn't seem to want to be with me. He was always out with his friends, hanging out in bars or playing cards.
Can you please reflect on Scott's personality?
Scott is very immature when it comes to adult responsibilities.
Can you please tell the court how you met Carl?
I met Carl about 2 years ago when I was going to buy a new car.
Can you please tell the court how you felt about Carl bringing a gun into the house?
I argued with Carl over this, and he eventually told me that it was only for safety reasons, and I only agreed if it was only going to be used for safety reasons.
The next, I'd like to read in another piece on page 26, paragraphs 3 to 5. Just read it.
The last straw came when Scott bought TJ a BB gun. Scott acted like it was a toy, but I knew that somebody could get seriously hurt with one of those things. I put my foot down and said that under no circumstance would I allow TJ to own a gun of any kind. Another time, I found a gun magazine in TJ's room. It was open to a page where TJ had circled several gun prices and descriptions. I took the magazine and threw it away. All of this is Scott's influence.
What precautions, if any, did you take to counteract the violent actions that you saw TJ involving herself with?
I told TJ's father that she was not allowed to own any type of gun. We watched a gun violence documentary that taught her that violence is not the answer. And I also threw away all of the magazines that I saw in her room that were circled.
Can you please tell the court of TJ's history with law enforcement?
TJ ended up getting into a fight with the neighborhood kids, and it did involve weapons and guns. So TJ was then arrested and taken down to the police station.
Then I'd like to read another piece of evidence on page 25, paragraphs.
As soon as I found out about the arrest, I went down to the police station and spoke to the youth officer. He said that many first-time offenders enter a diversion program, which includes counseling about violence, drugs, and guns. I immediately told him that I wanted TJ in this program. He explained that he had planned to just release TJ because he did not feel that diversion was necessary. But I told him that we would do the program voluntarily. I thought that the counseling would help.
What precautions did you take following this fight?
After this fight, I decided to put my daughter in a diversion program voluntarily to keep a ground set between us.
Can you tell the court how often you had these meetings?
TJ and I met with Terry Botner, the counselor, once a month.
Can you describe the nature of the conversations during these sessions?
TJ opened up more to Terry, telling Terry everything that she saw in school, and I've even learned things from this.
Can you describe your takeaway from your meetings with Terry Bonner?
I have learned
Objection, speculation.
It's her take. This is.
Sustained. Just reword the question.
Um, Can you describe?
Sorry, Your Honor, is it speculation of if it's Tanya's takeaways from her meeting with
Help
Bonner?
her reword the question.
Jeez, but it's like imagining like what?
No, it's.
No, it is her
Can
own
you-
takeaway.
Tanya, could you tell the court what you learned from your meetings with Terry Botner and your daughter?
Yes. I learned that it is hard for the children to not be involved with everything that's happening. If they see something bad, they're going to try to go for what they are seeing.
Can you read another piece? It's on page 28, paragraph. Oh my goodness. Paragraph 2. Okay. Let's start.
Carl should have kept the gun in a secure place, and TJ should have known better.
After learning about the unfortunate turn of events, what happened on that Saturday, how do you feel about Carl and TJ taking responsibility for what happened?
I felt that Carl should have been smarter and put the gun in a more secure place, and TJ should have known better not to touch things that are not hers.
I'd like to read another. It's on the same page 28, the last paragraph.
It is not my fault that Jesse was shot. The shooting happened at Scott's house, and from what I hear, he was down the street drinking beer. This is typical of Scott. He was the same way when we were married.
How do you feel about Scott's involvement in the incident as a parent?
I personally feel that if Scott were home, this incident would not have happened, and that he would have been able to prevent this all from happening too if he were there to help break this up.
And can you describe how you feel about your own involvement in this incident?
I know that I'm not 100% blameless for this, but I feel like, yes, I could have taken some more responsibility, but since it happened at Scott's house, Scott should be taking more of the responsibility.
No further questions.
Let's go. All right, Tanya. So according to your direct examinations, many issues with Scott led to a divorce with him. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
What was the only condition of you and Scott's divorce?
As long as I got full custody over my child, that is all that mattered.
Has TJ gotten into trouble at school? Yes or no?
Yes.
What did TJ get into trouble at school?
During the 6th grade, TJ had gotten in trouble for getting into a fight and then vandalizing school property.
Were there weapons involved when?
Not in that fight.
Okay. All right. I'd like to end. I would like to enter evidence on page 25, second paragraph.
Is this new evidence or re-entering?
That is new evidence, I am pretty sure. Yeah, highlighted more.
The only other problem I have ever had with TJ was in January of 1993 when she was involved in a fight between two groups of kids in the neighborhood. The police broke it up and took everyone to the station house. There were weapons involved, including 1 or 2 handguns and some switchblades.
After these incidents, isn't it true that you put TJ into a diversion program?
Yes.
Did Scott go to these diversion program meetings?
No.
So isn't it true that you never communicated the full extent of the issues with Scott that you were having with TJ?
I personally didn't, but I know Terry Botner did.
Yes, but did Terry Botner explain all of the issues? Did Scott get a full picture?
No, Your Honor, speculation.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that after this you found a magazine in TJ's room with gun prices and description circled? Yes or no?
Yes.
I'd like to reference evidence on page 26. Third paragraph. No, sorry. Right here. Yeah, the first part that's out of it.
The last straw came when Scott bought TJ a BB gun. Scott acted like it was a toy, but I knew that someone could get seriously hurt with one of those things. I put my foot down and said that under no circumstances would I allow TJ to own a gun of any kind.
Yeah, so based on these previous events, would you say TJ had an interest in guns? Yes or no?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you denied Scott the opportunity to teach TJ how to safely handle a gun by denying them the chance to work with a BB gun? Yes or no?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you let Carl bring a gun with him into your house after the issues happened with TJ? Yes or no?
Am I allowed to elaborate?
No, yes or no?
Yes.
So wouldn't TJ's violent history raise concern when considering whether to allow Carl to bring a gun into your household? Yes or no?
Yes.
Isn't it true that initially your gut told you it was foolish to have a gun in your house with your violent child? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did you look at the safe storage of handguns information sheet that Carl brought with him?
Yes.
I'm not sure if this was already entered. Yes. All adults.
All adults in the house must know exactly where a handgun is stored and what measures have been taken to childproof the handgun.
Did you even know where Carl stored the gun?
No, but I trusted
yes or
him
no?
to put it in a...
Did you know if Carl had childproofed the handgun? Yes or no?
No.
So you read the law of safe storage of handguns, but you did not follow through to know where the gun was?
Objection.
Or whether if it was childproof?
Sustained.
I have to reference a piece of evidence from the safe storage of handguns. The last sentence.
If you are not willing to take on this responsibility, you should not keep a handgun in your home or allow anyone else to keep one there.
Isn't it true that you are responsible for allowing Carl to have a gun in the house? Yes or no?
Yes.
Your Honor, the safe storage of handguns refers to the owner of the gun still?
Yes, but she is the owner of the house and she is an adult in the house. And it says that all adults in the house must know.
For the owner of the gun. That is the responsibility of the owner of the gun to ensure. She's
It says
another.
all adults in the house must know exactly where a gun is stored and what measures have been taken to childproof the handgun. They also must ensure that these precautions are continually taken. If you're not willing to take this responsibility, you should not keep a handgun in your home or allow anyone else to keep one there.
This information was for Carl, however, since he was the owner of the gun and required
This
to.
is or allow anyone else to keep one there, overruled.
Isn't it also true that TJ saw you reading the safe handgun sheet and therefore there could have been a chance she knew there was a gun in the house?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Did you give Scott a heads up that there was a gun in the house?
No.
So you admit to willfully allowing a gun in your house without knowing where it was or if it was childproof after you were concerned that TJ had an interest in guns, yes or no?
Yes.
I have two reference pieces of evidence on page 28, second paragraph. From Carl to better.
Carl should have kept the gun in a secure place and TJ should have known better.
I would also like to point out that in your direct examination, you say that Carl should have kept the gun in a safer place and TJ should have kept away from it. So based on the affidavit, on your affidavit and your direct examination, you believe the responsibility falls on Carl and TJ, even though you are the homeowner and sole custody parent, yes or no?
Yes.
Did you know that you as a homeowner have a responsibility to ensure a safe environment for your family in your home, yes or no?
Yes.
Would you agree that allowing Carl to bring the gun into your house contradicts the responsibility to ensure a safe environment in your home, yes or no?
Under certain circumstances.
Yes or no?
Objection, narration.
Answer the question.
Yes or no, please.
Can you say the question again?
Would you agree that allowing Carl to bring the gun into your house contradicts the responsibility to ensure a safe environment in your home? Yes or no?
No.
I would like to reference evidence from safe storage of handguns. From do not to follow.
Do not trust anyone else, even if it's your spouse or significant other, to ensure that the measures described below are followed.
So you were so insistent for TJ to go into the diversion program and to allow Scott to get to not allow Scott to get TJ a BB gun, but when it came to a real gun, you left it to trust in Carl to keep it safe. Yes or no?
Yes.
In hindsight, do you believe that all your mistakes of allowing the gun into the house, not knowing where it was stored, not knowing if it was childproof, not paying close attention to the safe storage information, not communicating the presence of the gun in your home to Scott, ultimately proves you are a negligent parent?
Objection calls for conclusion.
I have no further questions. Oh, yeah.
This prosecution redress. Does, I'm sorry, defense, you want to defense, you can't say.
We have to come. So I never made it out.
Excuse me.
The defense would like to enter their second witness, Colleen House.
Okay.
Please state your name.
Conley House.
Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I,
I,
Carl House,
Conley House,
swear to tell the truth,
swear to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Please state your name for the record.
I'm Colin House.
How old are you?
36.
What is your occupation?
I'm a car salesman.
When did you and Tanya meet?
We met about 2 years ago when she needed to buy a new car.
When did you and Tanya start seeing each other?
We started seeing each other about a week after we met, and I eventually moved into her house.
You moved into Tanya's house. Please state when you officially started to live with Tanya and TJ.
I started to live with Tanya and TJ, I'm pretty sure it was August of 1993.
How did TJ react to you moving in?
She didn't really seem to mind.
How would you describe TJ?
TJ's a great kid, smart, funny, outgoing, great personality.
How old is TJ?
She's 13 years old.
So how does being a teenager impact her behavior?
She seems to be able to be easily influenced by friends, social media, TV, and even some adults.
Are there any adults in particular?
Her father, Scott Walker, seems to be a pretty big influence.
In the 2 years that you have known TJ, how active has Scott been in TJ's life?
Scott hasn't really been active. He's been quite busy with his own life and his own wife and family to be able to pay much attention to TJ. He left a pretty big hole in her heart where he should be.
Objection narration.
Just answer the questions, please.
Can you repeat the question?
In the 2 years that you have known TJ, how active has Scott been in TJ's life?
Not very active.
Please specifically quantify how often Scott does or does not see TJ.
Scott doesn't see TJ that much. He's missed a number of visits from weeks and even months at a time, along with child support payments.
Based on your interactions and conversations with TJ, please quantify the degree which Scott impacts TJ's behaviors.
The impact is big. TJ would do anything for Scott. She told me herself that she desires a better relationship with him. She would do anything for him that henceforth affecting her behavior.
Please describe any positive efforts Scott has made in his parenting of TJ.
In the past 6 to 8 months prior to the shooting, Scott has made an effort to be more involved in TJ's life by letting her become more of a part of his family.
How would you describe Tanya as a mother?
Tanya's a great mother. She does everything she can for TJ. She even took up an extra job to pay the extra money from the child support payments that were missed by Scott.
How present would you say Tanya is in TJ's life?
Tanya is as present as she can be. She does whatever she can. As I said earlier, she takes up an extra job.
No, that's relevant.
Can I continue?
You can overrule.
As I said earlier, she takes up an extra job just to pay for her and TJ's living expenses from the extra child support payments that Scott has missed.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter evidence from Colin Newhouse's affidavit, starting from the divorce. Oh, that's not. Hold on. Starting from when I moved in and then ending at bought a gun.
When I moved into Tanya's house, I wanted to bring my gun with me. I bought a gun a number of years ago because my apartment had been broken into while I was sleeping. One of the burglars held a gun to my head while the other one took all my valuables. I was never going to let that happen again, so I bought a gun.
What model of Beretta did you bring with you?
I bought
Objection, best evidence.
I'd like to enter evidence in, starting from what I have and ending with license.
The model of gun is not in best evidence, it's not established.
No, I was
Stated
thinking,
in-
no.
It's not
So
best
can
evidence.
he answer the question? He can answer the question, yes.
I bought a Beretta 9mm semi-automatic pistol. I bought it so I would be able to protect everybody.
Just answer the question, please.
Oh, fine. A Beretta 9mm semi-automatic pistol. I have a license for the gun. I had to take a gun safety course in order to receive the license.
How did Tanya react to the gun?
She didn't seem to like it.
Why didn't she seem to like the gun?
She said that TJ had experienced trouble in the past and that with her history of violence, a gun would not be the safest thing to have in the house.
What was your response to Tanya's reaction?
I tried to assure her that the gun would be a safe thing, that it would be able to protect us in case of an emergency.
What emergencies in question?
Just pretty much the emergencies, like the neighborhood itself is pretty much a big problem with even everybody, including the kids, having guns who would shoot you if you even looked at them the wrong way.
How did living with Tanya, given your experience, impact your mindset about the gun?
Knowing that Tanya and TJ, I would be living with Tanya and TJ, I wanted the gun even more so that I could protect them at all costs.
How did you manage to change Tanya's mind?
I told her that I had I'd taken the gun safety course and I know what I'm doing with a gun, and I gave her the papers so she could read them over.
Where did you keep the gun?
I kept the gun in the toolbox in the basement.
How did you keep the gun secure?
I usually had a lock on it, but sometimes during long-term,
Objection, narration.
Just answer the questions, please.
I had a lock on it.
Was this always locked?
Sometimes during long-term projects, I had left it unlocked because I forgot to lock it.
Objection, narration.
Please answer the questions.
Most of the time, it was locked. Yes,
In what scenario was it unlocked?
during long-term projects.
Did you and TJ partake in anything that had to do with guns?
Yes, one day when shortly after I moved in, we were working on something in my workshop, and the toolbox was open. I asked her to go get something for me, and she brought the gun over. I told her to put it back and never touch it again.
How sure are you about the security of the toolbox that week?
I'm fairly sure that it was locked that week
Why didn't you tell Tanya about this incident?
because I knew she would be mad. She takes TJ's safety very seriously.
How do you feel about this tragedy considering your role in TJ's accessibility to the gun?
I feel like this tragedy is mostly my fault, as it was my gun, my responsibility. I should have been more careful, and I should have told TJ more sternly and more severely, and given her a punishment.
Restate your name for the court, please.
I'm Carl Newhouse.
How old are you?
I'm 36 years old.
What is your occupation?
I'm a car salesman.
When did you meet Tanya Brewster?
About 2 years ago, when she needed to buy a car.
When did you move into Tanya's house?
About a week after we met.
Did TJ seem to mind you moving in?
No, she didn't seem to mind.
What was your relationship like with TJ?
Well, we didn't really talk too much, but she did help me with a project every once in a while.
What do you know about TJ and Scott's relationship?
It seems that TJ loves Scott.
Your Honor, asking for speculation. Yes, sustained.
I'm gonna enter some evidence on page 29.
Okay, is it new evidence?
Yes.
On the other hand, I know TJ loves Scott very much and would like to have a closer relationship with him. TJ has told me so.
What is Tanya and TJ's relationship like?
Tanya and TJ don't really have much of a good relationship, as Tanya isn't really that present. Tanya would love a better relationship, but TJ kind of
avoids her.
So you stated in your direct exam that Tanya was a very present mother and was always there for her. So why are you saying that Tanya kind of
Objection, argumentative? No, I want to hear the answer to this.
that Tanya they don't have a great relationship and she is a great and present mother?
Actually, I had stated that she is as present as she can be. That did not mean that she's present all the time. I told you that she has work, that she is at work almost all the time because she has to pay for herself and TJ. Due to the missing child support payments, she takes up extra time. Therefore, she's not around that much at all.
I'm going to enter another piece of evidence on page 29 and end of it to page 30.
I often get the feeling that Tanya does not really understand what today's teenagers are faced with, but she would do anything for TJ.
Can you elaborate what you meant by this?
By what I just read.
Mhm.
So Tanya loves TJ. She would do anything for her. However, Tanya doesn't really understand the mindset of a teenager.
As a parent, is it important to understand the circumstances of your child in the school they are going to?
I believe so,
Yes
yes.
or no? When did you buy the gun used in the incident?
I don't recall.
Why did you buy this gun?
I bought it because my house got broken into and I was trying to protect myself after that incident because I didn't want that
Objection,
to
narration.
No, that's relevant. You can continue.
I think.
Okay.
If the gun is this personally important to you after this tragic trauma, why don't you remember more specifically when you bought it?
There wasn't evidence entered into the affidavit with this trial, so we don't have any recollection of when it actually was bought.
So this is relevant.
It's a very good question, but it is irrelevant. The information was provided.
Why did you want to bring a gun to Tanya's house?
To protect us all.
So it's known and stated many times that TJ is 13 and is around lots of violence. Knowing this, does it have any influence on your decision to bring the gun into the house, yes or no?
Yes.
I'm gonna enter the first sentence of safe storage of a handgun.
Statistics show that keeping a gun at home nearly triples the chance that someone will be killed on the premises.
Did you take proper safety precautions with this gun, yes or no?
I tried, but no.
Yes or no? Answer more directly, please.
More directly, okay, no.
I'm gonna enter evidence on page 30.
I keep it loaded so that I'm always ready in case of trouble.
Oh, and then also on the bottom of page 30.
I put the gun in the toolbox I kept in the basement. The toolbox has a lock on it, and I usually keep it locked. Sometimes when I'm working on a long-term project, I forget to lock it.
So based on this, you would agree that you need your gun loaded all the time, yes or no?
Yes, I would agree to that.
And you would also agree that the toolbox where the gun is kept unlocked, yes or no?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, I'm gonna enter the safety sheet. This is already been entered.
Store your handgun unloaded and uncocked in a secure locked container.
Based on this, you failed to fill this safety requirement, yes or no?
Yes.
Did Tanya know where the gun was kept, yes or no?
No, she did not.
I'm gonna enter the safety sheet, the special note for parents, this is already been entered.
Do not trust anyone else, even your spouse or significant other, to ensure that the measures described below are followed. All adults in the house must know exactly where the handgun is stored and what measures have been taken to childproof the handgun.
So, as you said, Tanya failed to know the location of the gun kept in her house. Therefore, it failed the safety requirement, yes or no?
Objection, Your Honor. This statement applies, it's only guaranteed that Carl has ever read this statement since he's the owner of the gun. Tanya is never guaranteed to have come in contact reading a statement.
Yeah, but it's all adults in the house, and this is a special note for the parents.
This agreement was signed to by Carl to own the gun and never by
Adults in the
Tanya.
house.
I will allow it. Same reason I said before. All adults in the house.
I'm gonna enter evidence on page 30.
She told me TJ had been in trouble in the past and that she was afraid of her being around guns.
Would you say Tanya was hesitant to the gun being brought into her home with TJ, yes or no?
Yes.
I'm gonna enter evidence on page 31. I'm gonna enter two pieces on page 31. So this piece of the gun is the This sends the gun.
Since TJ was not allowed to go through my belongings, I thought that the toolbox was the safe place to put my gun in. Forgetting that I had put the gun in the toolbox, I asked TJ to get a screwdriver for me. TJ found the gun and asked me about it. I told her to put the gun back and to never touch it again.
And the last part of that you did not read. It's the I to angry as well. It's included in there.
I read that. Didn't I?
Thing, nothing.
Oh, I did not tell Tanya about this because I knew she would be really angry.
You're educated in gun safety as you have read everything that is required to read. Why would you store the gun in an unlocked toolbox?
Because most of the time it was locked, and I figured TJ wouldn't touch it if I told her not to touch it.
Why didn't you tell Tanya about this incident?
Because I knew she would be really angry, and she.
Objection.
Just answer the questions, please.
Was this due to your personal relationship with her? Yes or no?
Could you be more specific?
You two are dating and you live with her, and this is her child who she has sole custody over. And you knew she would be really angry. So did you fail to tell her about TJ finding the gun due to your personal relationship with her? Yes or no?
No.
So it was just only because you knew she'd be angry. That's why I didn't tell her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna enter evidence on page 31.
I remember that week before the accident because I was rebuilding the transmission that whole week. I am fairly sure the toolbox was locked that week.
So it's correct that TJ found the gun previous to the week of the incident, correct?
That is correct.
So you knew that TJ was aware of the location of the gun. Why were you 100% certain the toolbox was locked?
Objection, multiple questions.
Ask one question at a time, please.
All I said is that TJ was aware of the location of the gun.
That's a question. That's a question.
Okay, so TJ was aware of the location of the gun, yes or no?
Yes.
Why were you 100% certain that the toolbox was locked?
Because it was during a long-term project and sometimes I forget to lock it.
Are you aware of the severity of a gun?
Yes, I am.
Do you think a 13-year-old is developed enough to not act and reach for the gun just because an adult tells them not to? Yes or no?
Yes, I believe that.
Enter evidence on page 31.
I specifically told TJ not to take or use the gun.
Is telling TJ not to take or use a gun enough precaution for everyone's safety, yes or no?
No.
Enter evidence on page 30.
She made me give her the materials from the course, including an information sheet called Safe Storage of Handguns, so that she could read them for herself.
So based on this, would you agree Tanya was aware of all the specific rules attached with having a gun in your home, yes or no?
No.
But you would agree she read the sheets, correct?
No.
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
She justified it, she did not.
What was that? You could redirect the question.
Why did you do it? So did she read the sheets that you gave her?
Not that I know of.
All we know is that he gave her the sheets. We don't know whether he knows that she read
It
them.
was
It
stated
says
in the
she did read
affidavit.
them for herself.
So she could read them.
not
She
that
did.
No, she
Yeah.
stated in her affidavit. that
Yeah,
she
it-
But
those
it's
were all
not for Carl,
comments.
it's not for Carl to comment on. It's not his affidavit to
Okay,
comment on, it's
hold up. He did state that she read the sheets. That's, he stated that. He
He's-
stated that she read the sheets.
He stated that she had
So
access to
she
the sheets. She
could
read them because he gave access to her. She also stated that she had access to the sheets. She
the
had the
last
sheets.
sentence.
It was
second
establishing-
paragraph.
Yeah, and
My,
the direct
my
example
cross
was
example
established.
Tanya, it was established that she,
She had the sheets.
that
not that
she read it.
We understand that you established that she read them, but it's not Carl. If Carl can
It's
comment on
establishing
whether or
facts
not
and
she read them.
truths.
yeah, but Carl was president of the
Okay, we're
board.
gonna move on from this. It's already been established that she's read the sheets. She established that herself.
Is it true that you're living in Tanya's house?
Yes, that is true.
Is it true the gun is kept in the toolbox, yes or no?
Yes.
Is it true that the toolbox where the gun was kept was in Tanya's house, yes or no?
Yes.
Enter evidence on page 30.
Tanya finally agreed to let me keep the gun. I guess she trusted me.
So you'd agree, Tanya agreed to let you keep the gun in her house without knowing the safety precautions you took with it, with her teenage daughter who she had full custody of in the house, yes or no?
Yes.
No further questions.
Do you want to redirect?
Yes. Do you have any experience with kids?
No.
So would you be able to enforce a rule with a child that is not yours?
No.
Do you think Scott?
Objection, speculation.
No further questions.
I would like to, can I comment on that?
No.
Can I say something? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Can I call Terry Butler to the stand?
Please state your name.
My name is Terry Butner.
Okay, please place your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. On behalf of me, I,
I,
Terry Botner,
Terry Botner,
swear to tell the truth,
swear to tell the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Be seated.
Minutes? Through the following questions, I will establish Terry Bonner as an expert in his field of social work and his knowledge of violence in teen and gang, violence among teens and gangs.
Okay.
Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Terry Botner.
Can you please state your current occupation?
I'm currently a counselor for the pretrial diversion program in Shepherdsville, New Columbia.
Can you please state your education credentials?
Yes, I currently hold a bachelor's degree in physical education from Shepherdsville City College. I also hold a master's degree in social work from New Columbia University. I'm working on my PhD in the same degree. I also have completed preliminary research for my thesis on gang violence among teens.
Can you please explain your motive for doing your line of work?
Yes. I began as a teacher at Ford High. I was a physical education and health teacher. As I started to notice that my students were experiencing issues, particularly gang violence and drugs, I started to notice that these issues couldn't be properly addressed as a teacher. So I decided to leave a coaching position, which I held at that school, to start a after-school program. This after-school program would consist of sports, basketball, homework help, and of course, something that we would call rap sessions. This would be sessions where I would discuss with these students, these more at-risk students, the kind of issues that they were
Objection,
experiencing.
narration. These are very relevant points to why I became a counselor.
They're very relevant.
During one of these after-school sessions, I came across Dr. Phyllis Gannon, one of the guest speakers during these after-school programs. She mentioned a pretrial diversion program that she was starting. I heard about it, and I jumped at the idea of being able to help these more at-risk children.
Right. I would like to now establish him as expert in his field social work in his thesis of gun violence.
Established defense grade, or, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you, what do you do, all the time? What do you do for your line of work?
Yeah, so as a counselor, I'm currently a family and individual counselor. I meet with families, specifically families that are experiencing issues with their children. I meet with my patients, which is the child, once a week in person. I meet with the adult, which would be the parents, once a week on phone call to check in with them. And then I also have once a month a meeting with both the parent and the child present.
Okay. What is the date that you started working with TJ and Tanya?
I started working with TJ and Tanya in February of 1993.
And how did you first learn about TJ and Tanya?
I was given his file, her file, TJ's file, from a screening officer. When I first got that file, I was surprised, considering that was.
Objection, narration.
No, I'm gonna allow that.
Okay. I was surprised considering TJ was a first offender on the file. These types of cases are normally thrown out.
What do you normally talk about inside your sessions with TJ and Tanya?
Objection privilege.
Yeah.
Your Honor, it's stated in my affidavit.
Okay, you can only speak of the things that you stated in your affidavit.
Yes, Your Honor. We speak about many different issues within TJ's life, specifically when Tanya is not around. As it pertains to this case, we speak about what happens in school. Gun violence and violence in general are both things that we speak about within these sessions.
How often does gun violence come out inside your meetings?
TJ always mentions guns within our sessions. I would also say that Tanya has heard these things and has made it very clear that she doesn't want.
No, that's, he's hearing it firsthand.
I'm sorry. Tanya has heard these things regarding guns and has made it very clear to TJ within our sessions that she does not want TJ anywhere near or possessing a gun.
Why would a kid like TJ want to acquire a gun using your field of expertise?
Yes, in my expertise, I have noticed many cases like this one where a child will resort to criminal behavior as a ploy to get attention and respect from their parents.
Okay. How involved is Tanya inside the diversion program?
Okay. Tanya is very involved in the diversion program. As I mentioned, TJ does not even need to be in the diversion program. Tanya has put TJ through the diversion program. I would also mention that Tanya is very quick to respond to my calls and has also attended every one of our sessions.
How often do you counsel with TJ and Tanya?
As I mentioned, we have a separate meeting with TJ every week. We have a phone call with Tanya every week, and then we also have these sessions once a month with both of them.
Have you ever interacted with? Actually, sorry, I'm going to go back a bit. Is there anything in specific that Tanya has learned inside your counseling session?
Yes. Within our counseling sessions, Tanya has made it very clear that she is surprised to hear about the gun violence that TJ is experiencing. And as I mentioned, she has also made it very clear that she does not want TJ anywhere near a gun or possessing a gun of any kind.
Have you ever come in contact with Scott Walker?
Yes. I had 3 incidents where I contacted him.
And how did you contact him inside these 3 incidents?
I had 2 phone calls and 1 polite letter.
Can you explain to us what happened inside the first 2 phone calls?
Yes. During my first phone call, I had inquired that Scott Walker attend these one of our sessions. As I mentioned, these sessions are very dependent on parental support. Unfortunately, he responded saying, asking if I was a cop. I told him that, of course, this is a diversion program. I explained it to him, and he responded saying that if Tanya, the mother, was there, he did not want to be there. During my second call, I again inquired and explained that it was very important that he attended these sessions. He again responded saying that he did not want to be there and that I did not have the authority to tell his child what to do.
What is your motive behind sending a note to Scott Walker?
As I mentioned, the first two phone calls that I attempted to speak to him were rejected. So I noticed that this wasn't going to work. In an attempt to hopefully, as I mentioned, it's very important, have parents there. I asked him once more in the polite letter to hopefully convince him to come to one of these meetings.
I would like to have some evidence written to text. I don't know where it is. Inside the letter at the very end of the book, there's no taking note here. Botnet's response to the letter. It's this one right here. One.
Botner, believe me, putting Tanya and me together in a room is the last thing you want to do to help TJ. I think I know better than you do what is best for my own child. Scott Walker.
How does Scott Walker not attending the counseling sessions affect TJ's development in him?
Again, I go back to the attention and respect that I mentioned earlier. Parental support is very, very important to my sessions. Scott Walker has been established as the father of TJ Walker. Therefore, his absence in my sessions has a very large adverse effect on TJ's rehabilitation.
Throughout this court case, it has been established that Scott Walker has been intentionally using guns to entice TJ. How does that?
Objective, argumentative.
Sustained.
How does the interactions with guns on TJ affect the developments inside these sessions as well?
As it has been established, the incidents that TJ Walker has had with guns, of course, if anyone were to promote the use of guns, it would have an adverse effect on TJ's development.
What is your opinion on Scott Walker?
Given the interactions that I have had, and in my professional opinion and professional experience regarding parents and divorces and divorced fathers who are absent, I can unfortunately conclude that Scott Walker has been negligible in his child's physical and mental health, and unfortunately, due to his absence, he has pushed TJ Walker towards criminal behavior.
I'd like to have some evidence of text. Still don't know anything here. On page 36, starting at the third paragraph, I want you to line right here, start at the first and ending near the start of the second lines of the third paragraph.
I have never met Carl Newhouse. Sorry, is it the wrong one?
No, I'm apologizing for not showing it to the other party first.
Oh.
Yeah, could we see it, please?
Yes, you.
It's just this thing.
That's all good. Okay, thank you.
I have never met Carl Newhouse. Until the accident, I was not aware that he was living with Tanya and TJ.
Is there anything specific that you made Tanya do if you knew about this beforehand?
As I mentioned in my affidavit, had I been aware that there was a gun possessed by an adult within the household, I would have made it very clear that Tanya needs to have it removed.
So even with all these laws in place, based on your expert opinion, is there anything else that Tanya could have done to prevent the situation from ever happening?
Again, it goes back to parental support. I am a counselor. I have a degree in social work. I cannot give any conclusion as it pertains to criminal justice. That's the judge's job. So as I can say, as it pertains to social work and Tanya's ability to parent properly, I can say that Tanya has done everything within her power as a parent who is, under the circumstances that have been established in this case, a single mother and someone who is working to provide for her child. She has done everything within her power to prevent TJ Walker from coming into possession or using a gun.
Okay, thank you. That is all.
Please restate your name.
My name is Terry Botner.
Where do you work currently?
I currently work at the pretrial diversion program in Shepherdsville in Columbia.
Prior to your current job, where did you work?
I worked at Ford High.
Do you feel this prior job experience makes you qualified and knowledgeable to speak on social cultures within high schools?
Yes, it does.
Yes or no? Do you feel parents of today, such as Tanya, are expected to know the social norms or problems in today's school systems?
Your Honor, I'd like to make it clear that as I have put my
Objection, narration.
I'm speaking. I would like to make it clear that I put my hand on the Bible to say the whole truth, and I cannot communicate the whole truth with a yes or no answer.
What was the question?
I asked, yes or no, do you feel parents of today, such as Tanya, are expected to know the social norms or problems within today's school systems?
Okay, so I'm going to agree with him. Do you want him to answer the question yes or no, or do you want him to answer the question?
He can elaborate if he wants.
Okay.
Do you want me to ask you a question again?
Yes, ask me again.
Do you feel parents of today, such as Tanya, are expected to know the social norms or problems within today's school systems?
Parents have a responsibility to understand what is going on in their child's lives. However, I would like to also make it
Objection,
clear.
narration. He answered the question.
I'm answering his question.
It was allowed by the
He's
judge.
answering the question.
However, I do want to make it clear that Tanya has made effort to know what is going on in TJ's life by attending the pretrial diversion program.
Your Honor, I'd like to read evidence into the record.
Okay. He got shot yesterday.
Could you read it again for the court, please?
He got shot yesterday.
How did hearing something like this affect you mentally?
Objection vague.
Yeah, clarify.
Okay. Could I read more evidence into the record, please?
Can you show it to my defense, please? Yep. I can still remember the day I called out a boy's name in gym class and heard another student answer. He got shot yesterday.
How did hearing something like this affect you mentally?
Having heard something like this as a teacher, I realized that I couldn't help these students as much as I hoped. So this, of course, as I mentioned, was my motivation to start in the pretrial diversion
Objection,
program.
narration.
He's explained that it's motivating to him.
Yeah, but he's not answering how it affected him mentally.
Motivation.
That is his next.
It's my motivation.
But like,
I will allow him to answer.
Do cases such as TJ's, in regards to the shooting aspect, affect you in the same way that you just stated?
As I mentioned, it motivates me to become a better counselor and to help these kids that are more at risk.
So you feel that situations regarding shootings and violence don't have any impact on your mental state?
They do. They motivate me to do better at my job, to make sure that these incidents don't occur.
In terms of psychological impact?
Objection asked me. Sustained.
Your Honor, I'd like to read evidence into the record.
Please show it to the
Yep.
The attitudes and behavior of the kids scared me.
Your Honor, can I read in more evidence?
You can.
Thank you.
Show it to the defense, please. I frequently saw kids stashing guns and drugs in their gym lockers.
Did you report these incidents?
Objection, speculation.
What's the relevance?
This is to try to.
What we're saying is that isn't stated in his affidavit, so we have no knowledge of whether or not he actually reported these
That is correct.
incidences when he's looking at this. Okay.
I just wanted to ask Mitt to kind of just make sure, like, kind of see, like, because he went into counseling after being a school, like working at a school. So I just kind of wanted to see if this was something that he reported.
We just have no knowledge of whether or not he reported it because it's not
But he
given.
should have.
It's not, but
We can't do
we
anything
can't,
if we don't have
like,
the evidence
as
for it.
this is a class, we don't have the actual information. Whether or not it's it.
If I'm understanding you correctly, then him seeing the kids stashing the guns in their lockers and such was just his motivation for going into counseling. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Could you read evidence 3 again?
I don't know which one is just evidence 3. The attitudes and behavior of the kids scared me.
If violent behaviors in a school setting scared you, why did you feel that you should become a counselor on these same topics?
Again, as I mentioned, I asked and answered. The fear is a motivator. I was motivated by this fear of what happens to these kids to become a counselor.
Your Honor, I'd like to read more evidence in the record.
Okay.
You have received the evidence.
Through this work, I have come to realize that the most important factor in determining whether children will become or remain involved in violent crime is the level of parental support.
Yes or no? Do you feel that TJ had a good enough level of parental support to be pulled away from a violent lifestyle?
Your Honor, this is my expertise. May I elaborate?
You may.
Thank you. Again, as I mentioned, parental support comes from two places, the mother and the father. TJ Walker has, fortunately, both his or her mother and father. As I mentioned, the mother has done everything within her power. Unfortunately, the father has not.
Could you answer the question, does TJ have a good enough level of parental support to be pulled away?
Objection, vague.
Well, he set the groundwork for that. That is a valid question.
Please restate.
Do you feel that TJ had a good enough level of parental support to be pulled away from a violent lifestyle?
No, I don't believe so.
Your Honor, I'd like to read 2 pieces of evidence into the record.
Okay.
Okay. First read this one.
Yeah. She wanted to be in the diversion program because she didn't want to take any chances where TJ was concerned. Tanya is a very involved parent.
Earlier in the courtroom, Tanya stated, and I quote, "I found a gun magazine in TJ's room. It was open to a page where TJ had circled several gun prices and descriptions. I took the magazine and threw it away." Yes or no, did Tanya ever bring this incident up?
Your Honor, privilege is not stated in my affidavit.
Yes or no, do you feel your counseling sessions with TJ were effective?
Your Honor, may I elaborate?
You may.
Okay. As I mentioned, it's a parental support. This is what the program is dependent on. Unfortunately, Scott Walker was not in attendance to these sessions, so they could not have been as productive as I would like.
Today in the courtroom, TJ stated, and I quote, "The counseling sessions with Terry were ineffective."
Objection, Your Honor. It's inappropriate to quote their own witness on the credibility of a witness on the opposing side.
Well, I think he's trying to restate the question.
I haven't asked the question yet. I was just saying that today in the courtroom, TJ said, and I quote, "The counseling sessions with Terry were ineffective." After hearing this, in your expert opinion, what makes you claim that your sessions were effective? Elaborate.
Again, I never mentioned at any point that I believed that my counseling sessions couldn't be more effective. I told you that Scott Walker was not in attendance. Therefore, these sessions could not have been as effective. Had he been in these sessions, then I could state that they had been very effective.
So do you believe your sessions can be truly, fully effective if the person the sessions are intended for is not getting any benefit?
Your Honor, this is argumentative.
Argumentative.
Sustained.
Once more, earlier in the court today, TJ said, and I quote, "Having my dad in the counseling sessions would have caused more problems." After hearing this, in your expert opinion, do you believe that having Scott Walker, TJ's father, at the sessions, this would have caused problems?
Again, I'm professional, and in my professional opinion and my professional experience, having both parents is the most effective way to have a good counseling session. Again, TJ is a 13-year-old child, and I would like to make it very clear to the court that a 13-year-old
Objection,
child.
narration.
I am only explaining the question that he asked.
That
Just
last part was
answer
not part
the
of the
question.
Okay.
You want me to ask the question again?
Yeah, ask it again.
All right, so earlier in the court today, TJ said, and I quote, "Having my dad in the counseling sessions would have caused more problems." After hearing this, in your expert opinion, do you believe that having Scott Walker, TJ's father, at the sessions, this would have caused problems?
Again, I will mention that I have made it very clear that having both parents is essential to having an effective session.
Do you feel that having Scott there would cause a problem?
Objection, asked and answered.
Yeah, it's been asked and answered. Move on.
No further questions.
Do you want to redirect?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Oh, man, I hate that. My name, to remind you, is Carson Strauss. And again, today, and my team and I are here representing Scott Walker in the case Scott Walker v. Tanya Brewster. I would like to remind you of the charges brought forth today that we as a team hope to find Tanya Brewster guilty of due to her negligent actions. The relief requested is to find Tanya Brewster guilty of careless storage of a firearm and negligent supervision of a minor child. In today's case, our team felt that Scott Walker should take 30% of the fault from this case as a result of him being by no means a perfect dad, not because he made any $1 companionship. And Your Honor, my counsel and I want to remind you one final time that we agree with the opposing side and believe that Scott should not receive the companionship and only enough money to cover his son's medical bills, which the 70-30 blame split will do. Our team felt that Tanya should pay 70% of the monetary reparations as a result of her negligent actions that have been discussed today. These negligent actions are traced to a variety of issues stated today that Tanya created or allowed to happen in her household, or might I remind you, she had full custody and responsibility of her children. To start, Tanya made it extremely hard for her ex-husband, Scott, to see his kids. She did this by only giving him limited custody of the kids on weekends. Despite this, Scott was more than willing to love and support his kids and their interests with the limited time he had. A prime example of this that was discussed today was in relation to the BB gun Scott bought for his oldest daughter, TJ's birthday. Scott saw his daughter's interest in guns and purchased the BB gun to use his military background, not only to teach her safe ways to use a gun, but to bond with his daughter as well. However, upon buying the gun, Tanya didn't allow Scott to bring it into their house for use as a result of it being too dangerous. Instead, sometime later, she allowed her new boyfriend, Carl Newhouse, to negligently bring a 9mm handgun into the house, despite her knowing that it was improperly stored for anyone to take. While the opposing side today will tell you that Tanya cared for TJ more than any parent could by putting her in counseling to hopefully negate poor and violent behaviors, this is wrong, as TJ felt no benefit or effect from these sessions, and if Tanya had truly shown no negligent behavior, her daughter would not have gotten her hands on a gun, and her daughter would not have unfortunately paralyzed Jesse Walker for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Your Honor, my name is Alexander Newbert, and I'm here representing Tanya Brewster along with my co-counsel. Your Honor, we recognize the immense loss of a responsible mother who has tirelessly worked to care for her daughter. You see, the plaintiff's claim hinges on the claim that Tanya Brewster's actions, or lack thereof, directly led to this tragic shooting. But what Scott Walker continually and consistently ignores is the consistent neglect that he has shown toward his daughter TJ throughout her life and up to the incident itself. Child support obligations, and left her alone as an emotionally unstable teen who has not had a father figure. This pattern of neglect continued when he returned to her life, focusing on bonding through dangerous means such as guns, instead of taking responsibility and building a slow, healthy relationship. In contrast, TJ's mother, Tanya Brewster, has been there for TJ at every single step. As a mother, Tanya has demonstrated tremendous foresight and responsibility in addressing the warning signs of violence in her daughter. She took proactive measures, including enrolling TJ in a diversion program, addressing concerns about guns, and protecting TJ from harm. In this tragic situation, Tanya entrusted Scott with her daughter's care for the afternoon. She had no reason to believe Scott would leave his children unsupervised in an unsafe environment. After all, Scott has said himself that he claims full responsibility for TJ when TJ is at his home. Scott's decision to leave the children alone, knowing full well that TJ had never been in this situation watching children before, served as the proximate cause of this incident and is without a doubt a gross breach of his parental duty. Tanya's decision to allow her partner, Carl Newhouse, to keep a gun in the home was eventually made in good faith based on his assurances of responsibility. After all, he'd been a gun owner for a long time, and he had had a safety sheet and had taken a safety course. The failure to store the gun properly rests with Carl, who has acknowledged that he violated Tanya's trust by keeping the firearm in an unsecured location and not updating Tanya on the gun's whereabouts at all times. Let me note that it was Carl Newhouse who owns the firearm, and therefore it is him who the safety sheet applies to. The plaintiff also brought up a statistic in the beginning of the safety sheet, something to the effect of having a gun in the house makes it 3 times more likely that somebody will be killed on premises. Nobody was killed on premises, the premises being Tanya's house. In fact, it was a paralysis that occurred in Scott's home. That is the basis of this case. This, of course, happened due to his decision to leave children alone, unsupervised for hours on end. And this brings us to the heart of the issue, and that is the negligence of Scott Walker. Scott's decision to leave his children alone in the house without ensuring adequate supervision is a clear and gross breach of his parental duty. His actions, including leaving the house without informing TJ of his whereabouts or how long he would be gone, deciding to stay for a beer, then maybe 5 more minutes, then for the overtime period, directly led to this incident. Scott Walker's pattern of neglect and irresponsibility cannot be ignored, and his actions should be held accountable. The plaintiff has consistently raised Scott's plans to teach gun safety with a BB gun. They have also consistently failed to prove this using best evidence. Though it has been argued by the defense that taking her gun-obsessed daughter to a shooting range in order to bond is a dangerous and irresponsible idea, I would like to ask, if gun safety and control was the true intention, wouldn't a shooting range be the perfect place to instill this in TJ? It has been established that Scott instead decided to show off and impress TJ with his Army shooting skills. The plaintiff claims that Tanya's limiting TJ's access to BB guns was Scott's only opportunity to introduce gun control to TJ's life. This is simply untrue. A great idea might have been showing TJ a gun safety documentary. This was an action that Tanya took. I would also like to ask, what is the difference between Carl's warnings to TJ about using the gun and Scott's supposed gun safety that he might have provided? The defense further emphasizes that Scott Walker's claims regarding the companionship and services of his son Jesse are unfounded. According to the precedent set by the case of Larson v. Miller, the injured must be providing both financial services and companionship at the time of injury. It is inappropriate to assume that 5-year-old Jesse was providing financial services to his father, so therefore we ask that this claim is dismissed. We also ask that Your Honor views this case through the lens of the precedential case of Scowcroft being reasonable ability to trust his sister, and this was therefore considered a significant mitigating factor. Your Honor, we finally ask that this case be viewed through the lens of comparative negligence. Scott Walker's actions or lack thereof were the proximate cause of the tragedy that occurred, and he must bear the brunt of this responsibility. We ask that the court recognize the overwhelm for this tragic event. Thank you.
We'll take a brief recess.
Your Honor,
Yeah.
in the opening statement, could you verify for me what they wanted to get?
This is 90.
What was that?
They were asking, they originally said 90, we decided to change it to 80%.
Okay, for Scott.
Do we get our rebuttal now or after the recess? What?
This is the closing. Okay.
To remind you one final time, my name is Carson Strauss, and I'm representing Scott Walker, in this case, Scott Walker v. Tiny Brewster. Your Honor, before making the verdict today, let me restate once more the true values and problems within this case. Tanya Brewster was negligent in allowing a gun to be improperly stored in her home. In addition to this, she was negligent with her supervision of her child by allowing TJ to acquire and unfortunately use the improperly stored gun. Despite any points that the opposing side may bring up today, we must remember the largest problem at hand. It is because of Tanya's negligence, 5-year-old Jesse Walker was shot, and because of it, he is now paralyzed for the rest of his life. Again, our counsel has brought a 70-30 split in terms of fault for the case. Let me remind you one final time that by 30% of the fault falling on Scott Walker within this case, Scott will only obtain enough money to support his paralyzed child and nothing for himself. This attests to Scott's character and shows that he truly cares for his children despite only having limited visitation rights. In the unfortunate event that Scott Walker does not receive any money from the verdict today, not only will his life be ruined forever, but his 5-year-old paralyzed son, Jesse's, will be ruined forever, than it already has been as a result of Tanya's negligence. Despite the problems caused by both parties, for the better of this young child's life, please, Your Honor, don't allow the hyperbolized claims from the opposing side to draw you away from the fact that a 5-year-old has been paralyzed from this case. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I'm gonna take a brief recess.
Carson, hyperbolized, I like that. Very good use of vocabulary.
you guys. That was really good.
Yeah, no, that was a lot better than I thought.
I couldn't do anything. Like I just
Muhammad did very well.
Wow, that was good.
Dude,
I like
you're the goat.
I was trying to get answers, but like you just wouldn't answer anything. So
Well, it's like
Career
I was
crossing?
like,
Oh, my.
I threw out
I had my
like 10
wallet.
questions.
I love I put my hand
I
on
was
my
scrolling up, like, well, these things are all out the window.
I kept trying. I had so many points that I was like, it was like if I get lucky and I get this one question in, I can do these next 5 questions. Adrian, you did really good.
Good, that's the point.
You did good.
We're not allowed to ask to elaborate. Or is that only
I think that's just Muhammad being
Muhammad.
That was
like kind of
that was
going
like the
around
best.
it.
That was Muhammad's own objections too.
Like, that's argumentative.
Argumentative.
What?
Keep it.
Frame it.
Oh my gosh.
What do you guys think?
I think it went well.
I don't know. I don't.
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
Our, like what both parties are asking for, it's so similar. I think it really good. I think if you guys left it at 90, I think we definitely would have won. But moving it to 80, I think.
I didn't know
it's
you
gonna be
could do
close.
that, like in the middle of it. Like I was so confused.
We didn't ask if we could.
I was gonna say 90 is crazy.
They didn't want to load the sandwich.
Yeah.
No,
We were-
Mr. Paul was trying to get us to do more, but
I was.
Yeah, I think like we just originally went with the 70.
was a pretty
Well, the only reason we did that
We
is
did the
because
math.
it's so
We
easy.
did the
Because
exact math
even
to find out
if you
it's
think like,
70%
yeah,
was
Scott's a
all
terrible
math.
person, but
Yeah.
like he's not getting any money if we win. It's like it's just not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just for the kids.
I like you
I
said
got so-
something in your closing statement. I almost like jumped in.
Yeah,
and
I saw you.
I saw Mr.
I saw your
Powers.
hands. I saw your hands like lit. I was like, okay.
Some of them.
Because the top part of that page is
It's like
the
all
gun
the
owner, but then the bottom is not.
Yeah, because it
It's like
refers
a
to
confusing
parents.
sheet.
So I was like,
I was gonna tell you guys, like, I was gonna get up to you, but you could have said, instead of like just rolling over and being like, okay.
I went
could have
4 for
said,
5 on my
Carl was
objections. The only one
responsible for making sure
I
that
messed up
Tanya
was the irrelevant
Yeah.
one, but I thought because
He did.
he said like the
We
day
said
leading
that
up to, I was thinking the
the call from the other side.
Like,
There
no,
was also
let the
some-
witness say it.
Lifting out of
There
that.
were so many that I had
Yeah.
to, like, you guys
I was-
had to catch, and I was so.
I think I attempted like over 15 calls, 15 or so.
There
I
was
think
some
I was-
Nevaeh.
You have them all written down.
I was
I
writing
haven't
mine down
counted them
too.
all.
I was
Nevaeh
4
is
for
correct.
5.
There was some that we could reject.
What?
She was including.
Oh.
There was a
bad.
couple I
Nevaeh's
wanted to
so
object to,
bad.
but I felt like it would have helped us more to just not.
Yeah.
There was
Wow.
Same
like,
thing on the other side. honestly.
Aiden had a lot to him. Like these were all to you. Connor.
Yeah.
Aiden,
I'm
Logan,
just
Connor,
saying.
Carson, all objected to you.
Well, you also had a very long
Yeah, I
cross. that
out
was
of like
It was long.
No,
Oh,
we
oh,
were
please.
97 questions.
I was
yeah,
thinking
and I
about
skipped over like
I was thinking about
30.
saying something because like you were asking not like the same questions, but
You
like
asked
the
the
same
same
answers.
Yeah.
The same answers.
Yeah.
But really, like I just got like pigeonholed into that because I had other points, but I was just like, if it gets called, it's just locked
I
out.
had to scrap like 50% of my cross on Muhammad, so I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, I just.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
He
get to do
just-
that. You had to do that last time too.
I saw him
Yeah.
scrolling.
Wait,
Of the word
so
down. It was bad.
Because he answered what
I
you
just
needed.
couldn't.
or, like,
I just couldn't get him to answer.
right out the door to the
I
right.
just like couldn't get him to answer.
Yeah,
I'm like, I understand that he's an extra witness, but I just like he wouldn't.
I kind of actually did a couple more of my questions just to prevent someone.
I was getting worried because he doesn't even know his name. I was like, oh god.
I was worried for a second.
Carson, I was
With
actually gonna
Adrian.
share when you walked up because I was thinking of
He's like, when is your child born? He's like,
I took a
That
long
was
time
cor-
for
when he
Jesse
clutched
and
up.
Kim.
Got it. That was
He got it though,
That
right? And
was
it was
crazy.
correct.
I don't
What?
think we ever talked about that. He, like,
No, the only time I ever talked to him about that was during the quiz.
that was crazy.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for him to say, I don't recall.
Yeah.
This is a stressful moment. I can't remember.
I'm gonna go pick up my stuff.
It's very relevant. You were.
I took too much precautions talking to the other side and we didn't need it. Talking about part of motive really helped on the question.